Hi everyone, welcome to another edition of Unsung Heroes, the YouTube channel where we talk to musicians because they've all got a story to tell, and this man is no exception. A musician, producer, engineer and broadcaster, and his list of achievements will continue to go on and on and on and probably fill up the whole of this video. So please welcome Mr. Paul Long. Paul, how the devil are you?
Hi, Paul.
Lovely to see you.
Yeah.
Now, I read your bio, Paul, and I saw that you started out at Dartington.
Yeah.
That's down in the West Country, is that
Yeah,
right?
near Totnes, which is still the hippie town equivalent of Glastonbury. And that's very much reminiscent of what Dartington was like. It was a hippie enclave, and that's remained.
Yeah, and you've never really lost that feel about that, have you, really, ever since? Because it was like, when I read in your bio how that was like a real left field sort of free expressive place that you could,
very much so. It was the making of me, really.
That's great.
I think as a musician and as a person, probably. And one day I'll have my ashes scattered there.
And I hope that's a long time away.
So do I, but it means that much to me.
Oh, that's brilliant. And you carry that around with you. Has that been kind of like those formative years there, and they inspired you obviously so much? But then of course you moved on to the Guildhall, music to get a course there, and you were a classical guitar player.
Classical guitar player. I also played oboe.
Oh, wonderful!
And composition. Those are my things there. And I found the other day my mum passed away a couple of weeks ago. We were clearing out her flat. And I found an old black and white photograph of me playing first oboe with the Devon Youth Orchestra. I'd never seen that photograph before.
That's what's great about those things.
All that sort of thing was popping up.
Yeah. Oh, that's brilliant, man. I tell you why, because I just as a little sideline, I've just cleared out my mum's house. Same thing. She's in a care home now, bless her. And I found old photographs. There's one of me from about 1983, which I'd never seen before. But it's a professionally taken photograph.
Yeah.
I don't know who took it.
You must have been there.
I must have been there. I've written on the back of it. I don't know. So, I know what you mean. Yeah. But your parents were pivotal in supporting you in your early days.
They were very supportive because I had done my O levels as it was then, and decided I don't want to stay at school anymore. I want to go to music college, age 16, and they just said okay, and. Certain echoes of that later on. Our Matt at school came to me and said, "I don't want to stay at school anymore. I want to go to music college." Yeah. And how could I say no?
Well, no, you can't really, can you? I mean, because that's flowing through your family. You know that because they were both. Well, certainly your father was a musician, wasn't he?
Yeah, well, an amateur singer. Yeah, he would do like Gilbert and Sullivan's and Broadway musicals, and stuff. Yeah.
But that's
showbiz stuff. Gets in your blood early on.
It does get in your blood. Yeah. There's so many of us that don't have that support early on from parents, because more often than not the idea is, he'll grow out of it, he'll get a proper job, you know.
Well, the support, my mum in particular carried on right through. She would be age 90, sat in the front row at a CATFISH gig when we played in Exeter. Super. And always listened to my radio show every week. Would tell me what she liked, Walter Trout, like Joe Bonamassa, who she used to call Joe Monty Bonty, to like to teach her how to say it. But
that's great.
She remained supportive all the way through. Not just of me, and my brother as well, and all the things he did. So, yeah.
Oh, that's great. You know, and I mean, that gives you a sort of a fallback almost, doesn't it? Because you think, well, because we inevitably go through life and we're thinking, you know. The driving force is we want our parents to be proud of us, you know. There's always that underlying feeling that, you know, will my parents like this, you know. Yeah. In a lot of cases, not always, but in a lot of cases, certainly. I read Springsteen's autobiography, and he said that he used to stand up most musicians stand up in front of 70,000 people shouting, "Daddy, please love me." And it's kind of that, you know, when you know that is the case, it gives you confidence.
Right.
You know,
I've not heard that.
Yeah, it was in his autobiography because he had a lot of problems with depression.
Yes,
which can affect anyone, and doesn't matter what background they have. But there we are, and of course, you eventually moved to London after you left the Guildhall. You told me that you'd left a 3-year course after the second year. Was that right?
I did. Yeah.
And that was at the sort of burgeoning new wave punk scene was.
Well, it was a little bit. It was just a very Victorian conservatoire that didn't want to know about jazz, didn't want to know about new music or any new techniques. And and I'm now a member of the Guildhall alumni, and I see what they're doing now, and it's fabulous. And I think, why aren't I there now? It would be great.
Well, there's always a chance that might. Do you ever get called in to give the odd,
No, get called in to give them money.
Oh right,
okay. To go to concerts.
yeah.
But no, more to do with the Open University alumni, because I didn't finish that course, and later in life, when I was at the BBC, you'd spend so much of your life on planes, trains, hotels, and I started to study history, which is a big interest of mine. And did a history degree.
Oh, wonderful!
And then I carried on, did an MA in music, so I finally got the big music qualification I should have got in 1978.
Oh, that's wonderful. So how much later on did that come about then, the final, getting the MA?
Oh, that was in 2019. I got the result during the lockdown, so I still haven't had my graduation ceremony. I still could. I could go and do
well, I'm sure it'll be well attended, and everybody that knows you will be there. So that's not it's never too late to get something that you could have got when you were younger. It's still always an opportunity.
That's what I thought. The OU, bless them, is a fabulous institution.
Well, they are, and I know we had a conversation earlier, and you were saying about the certain institutions, the BBC, the NHS, and the Open University. Three things that we both said would be sorely missed if they weren't there. For all of the criticism they get, people should be careful what they wish for, because they'll miss them when they're not there.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's very important.
Yeah.
So, when you moved to London, the people would probably want to know: was that to become a musician, or was it more to do with the production side of things?
It was to be a musician, and that goal. I wanted to play, and the more I went through the Guildhall course, and I thought, how many classical guitarists have I heard of? And I am one.
Yeah.
So what about, and what is one of the problems I have with them? How do I get a job doing this?
Yeah.
Well, we don't teach that.
No.
It's all that. And I got more and more into recording, and I sort of got into that side. And it was, of course, it was the height of the punk boom as well, that I coincided with arriving in London. So I was very much taken up with the excitement of that new music that was happening.
And the thing is, as I always read the biographies and always pick out points that we make. And as I've mentioned on this show before, there's a thing called the name drop pin, ladies and gentlemen. Trust me, a little birdie tells me there's going to be quite a few dropped today, and of rather large names that we could come up with.
Feel free to put a clang sound.
Yeah, I will. I won't. I haven't got round to working out and ready to do that yet. But in this one, that's all you'll hear, quite frankly. So there's that to come. But I mean, you landed. Well, it was about 81. You came to London, wasn't it?
76. I came to London.
Oh right.
Yeah.
But it was
to the Guildhall.
Oh right. Okay.
Yeah,
76. Yeah. But it was about 81 that you sort of approached getting a job. Was it?
It was around then. I'd left and sort of signed on at Peckham Labour Exchange as a classical guitarist, hoping it might get me some work.
Man, I love it. Yeah. What can we do for you today, sir? I'm a classical guitar player. I was wondering if I could register.
I think I could have already been beaten by a poet at the time. But anyway, so I was doing some PA, some PA work and theatre work. I did a lot of theatre work through the 70s, and my flatmate at the time was an engineer at the BBC. Okay. And that really got my interest in radio. Yeah. Which I was a big fan of radio anyway. Grew up on the Goon Show, and I'm sorry I'll read that again. Yeah, exactly. I know exactly what you mean, because I used to go to school and have lunch at my grandmother's house, which was not far from the school, and she'd always have the radio on during the day, and it was lunchtime, so it'd be the top 40 with Johnny Walker most of the time when I was there, but she'd also have those shows on, as well, and I used to listen to all of those, and at the weekends, and three-way family favourites and all that stuff, it's just wonderful. And when I moved to London, I can relate to that a little bit. I didn't have a TV for a long time, so the radio was my friend, and it was always just the radio, and it's never gone away. And the love for it is palpable, and it comes through you in that. So when you first got the job with the BBC, was it whatever they told you to do at first? Pretty much. It was for the first couple of years. I worked in news, the Today programme, World at One, World Service, and general sort of Radio 4 stuff. Yeah. Whilst you did little training weeks here and there in different departments, and I did my training week in what was called Group 2, which was the popular music engineering group. And the first thing I got sent to it, they said, "I hope you don't mind. Please feel free to say you're busy, but we'd like you to go to the Hammersmith Odeon on Christmas Eve and help out on the Elton John live Radio 1 broadcast." And so I jumped at that.
Have I got to?
Yeah.
Have I got to?
Yeah. And considering he'd been an inspiration, a hero of mine from about 1970.
Well,
onwards.
I was going to say that because I noticed in the list of wonderful songs Paul sent me, by the way, which I should be putting in the description underneath. I do every week. So please listen to them. People listen to them. These people pick wonderful music. Burn Down the Mission.
Burn Down the Mission.
Which is just a wonder. Because that period of his career, that early, those first. I mean, this is a man who used to make 2 albums a year, for heaven's sake.
Yeah.
These days, there are 5 years of gaps between records. Those days they had 2 albums a year.
Yeah.
So he put 4 albums out in 1970.
Yeah.
I think it was 70 or 71.
77.
Because you had the Elton John album, followed by Burn Down the Mission, by
Tumbleweed Connection, Madman Across the Water,
and the live album 11/7/70,
and the Friends soundtrack.
And the Friends soundtrack.
Yeah.
I mean, 5 albums in about 18 months.
Yeah.
I mean, you would have wondered whether or not he was concerned about overexposure, but it didn't seem to bother him much, did it?
It just poured out.
I know. At that time. It just that famous documentary where he sat in front of the piano.
Oh,
Paul Macartney's talking. He said, "Well, Bernie's given me this lyric here." He said, "Obviously, and he's singing Tiny Dancer as he's writing
at his upright piano." Yeah, that's right.
I mean,
that's great.
I don't know anybody that can do that. And you met him, and you talked to him about music, and as an equal in terms of.
I mean, that came later.
Yeah.
I'd worked my way into the music recording group. Got a job there in '87, and was due to work on Live Aid in '85. As a helper outer.
Oh wow.
But one of my best friends at the time decided to get married that day, so I had to go and do that instead. And I'll remind him of it every 30th of July.
Yeah.
But I did get similar opportunities on the 2 Mandela Day concerts at Wembley. Yeah, I stood in the line-up to meet the man himself as well.
Oh, you met?
In '90 at the second one.
Oh yeah, I remember the second one. Yeah. Oh, that was wonderful.
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't got enough time to talk about how pivotal that period was for someone like him to suddenly be elected president of South Africa after all of the troubles they'd had,
and all through the late '70s, I've been involved in Rock Against Racism and all that sort of thing, and the anti-apartheid movement. So it meant a lot to most people of our generation. Actually, it was a victory of a long battle.
Yeah, it was. It was.
Yeah.
And sadly, I think we're going to go through a similar one now. Sadly, it might happen in our own country rather than. But anyway, that's another story. We won't talk about that. It's too controversial for a little YouTube show like this one. So I read also that you didn't you do a Blondie concert as well? Didn't you do one? That was.
Yeah, but when they were old.
This was later on, was it? Right. So I thought this was around about, because I remember them doing a Christmas one as well. One year.
I didn't do that.
You
one.
Didn't do that. One, right, okay.
The time I got to work for any prolonged period, they would put it on a festival, and I'd be mixing, but you wouldn't get to meet them that way.
Right.
They'd be out. No, they came to Maida Vale. Deborah Harry must have been. Well, she was certainly 70. Chris Stein. And a lot of young guys, and Clem Burke on drums, the amazing Clem Burke on drums.
I know, sadly no longer with us, but
who I first knew with Eurythmics.
Yes, of course, yeah. So you did sound for them too?
Yeah.
Ching! So it's overflowing, people. But I mean, the list of people you've done that sort of work with, from production and engineering. I mean, there's probably too many to go into really in that. But one of the highlights, I believe, was a certain man who was from Liverpool who played in a group called the Beatles.
Yeah. I was lucky enough. Well, I was lucky enough to work with Paul many times.
Yeah.
And the first time was in 1990 at the Rob Robbins
That's right.
in Nebworth.
Yeah.
And I was assistant engineer. I was out on stage with the headset on, and the guy mixing would say, "I need to hear this, I need to hear that."
Yeah.
And it was in the sound check, and it's a little idle moment. I went up to Paul and I said, "Hello, I'm Paul from the BBC." And he went, "Hello, I'm Paul from the band." And I just said, "I know." You feel that.
Yeah, I know. It's really?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
No, I know. Some people are just so big.
Well,
it's
he-
pivotal
his-
in our cultural references. That
Yeah.
it's like you've known them all your life, even though
Oh,
they're-
absolutely. I
know
was
what
in
I
the
mean?
Beatles fan club in '64.
Exactly,
And then you're working with them.
Yeah.
And his close protection security guy said to me, he said, well, the thing is, there's famous people and there's Paul McCartney.
McCartney, yeah.
Which is
Just
like,
that wonderful clip, he did a documentary some years. His former wife, the one he married after Linda, whose name escapes me.
yeah. Heather.
Heather, thank you. They did a little documentary together. At one point, she says to him in this documentary, "Can't you Beatle them?" In other words, play the Beatle card. Don't you know I'm in the Beatle?
Yeah,
It was to raise some money for something. I can't remember what it was.
Right.
And I thought, and he was a little reluctant about doing that. And I thought, yeah, that's seriously powerful.
But if you go to one of his gigs, sure, you will hear a lot of Beatles songs,
Yeah.
a lot of which had never been played live before.
That's right.
That 1990
Yeah,
tour.
yeah.
But later on, he'd be more interested in his new record that nobody else wanted to hear, of course. But we did a thing at Abbey Road with him on the Chaos and Creation record.
Yeah, I remember that one. Yeah.
And we did a little documentary then. He was there with a load of equipment around, including a real Mellotron and tape machines. And he would show how he'd sit and they'd make a tape loop. He'd go, then we had this tape with them, we had another one, and we looped them all around the studio and played this on the Mellotron. Oh, and this is the Lady Madonna piano, which I'm there, and just seeing the workings.
Yeah.
Was fantastic.
It's like lifting the lid on it all, isn't it?
Absolutely,
Really. And he said
absolutely,
this
yeah.
is a real thing that people actually did to make these records. I mean,
Yeah.
we've all read the books. I'm a Beatle nut like yourself, and
Yeah.
I've got more books on the Beatles than I could possibly know what to do with. And you read about how that those days, and as an engineer, that you must have found that fascinating.
Well,
because it really was like what's that old boy, that Scottish guy they used to say was a bit when they used to make something. It said, "Oh, it's a bit."
Heath Robinson.
Heath Robinson.
Yeah.
There was an element of that involved.
But
though,
no,
to a
it
degree,
wasn't.
wasn't it?
Well, yes and no. I would argue with it.
Okay, well, that's
It's,
yeah, you've every right
wasn't.
to,
It
yeah.
wasn't Heath Robinson at the time. It was cutting edge.
Yes.
They pushed to the limits and beyond what
Yeah.
any studio they were in could do.
Yeah.
They invented
Yeah.
techniques.
Yeah.
So yeah, we look at it now and go primitive equipment,
Yeah.
but it's what they had.
Yeah. I think the tape loop thing, the idea that they had all these studios with people with pencils, I think that's
Yeah,
kind of
that's it.
the sort of vibe I was.
Yeah.
Whereas these days you've got an app in there for it,
Oh,
which
yeah,
takes away kind
yeah.
of its charm somehow. That like you say, people who break in barriers, they it's never the same afterwards. The Brian Wilson's another example.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
various people like that. That
And
were
tends to
around.
see with I'm Not in Love. and
Exactly,
that's it, yeah.
and the amount of work they put in to make that sound. Anyway, we're going off
Yeah.
on a tangent. So, you've done all these wonderful working with these legendary figures on big shows, and there's more names than we could ever possibly imagine. But your job is to make sure that the sound is both good for them and what's coming out the speakers.
Yeah.
So
And
BBC got a lot of criticism for some of their live broadcasts, that the sound was never quite the same coming out on the tape. Was that a difficult job at times?
Well, it can be, because if you're doing something like Glastonbury, there's no sound check. A band just walks on and starts playing. And before TV got involved, the radio would say, we'll just pick it up at the third song once you've settled the mix. TV wants them walking on the stage and starting, and that big roar when they walk on.
Yeah.
So you've just got to
And
do
you've
your
done
best.
you've done a lot of Glastonburys as well.
Yeah.
How many have you done of those? do you
My
think?
first one was 93,
Okay.
and I was there again this year as a freelancer for the BBC.
Oh right. So you,
Yeah.
this just goes on. I mean, I haven't got enough tape, or Paul hasn't got enough tape for me to bring all these up. But I mean, it's a wonderful career, Paul.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
you've managed to do so much with so many great names, so many wonderful people. So I'm going to narrow it down, and I just want you to tell who was the best and who was the worst to work with.
Right. Well, the worst is
We all love a
easy.
bit of goss.
The worst is easy. That's I'm afraid is John Bon Jovi.
Was that a concert for the BBC?
Yeah,
Oh, right.
and a session as well. So it was more than one occasion. Yeah, he's not. We didn't see eye to eye.
That's a shame.
Yeah. Best was two. One of them I barely met, but I'd been to see him at Wembley Arena, and it's in 1990, and it's the best live concert I've ever seen, and I don't see that changing. And that was Prince.
Yeah.
But then the best I've worked with over a prolonged period would be Macartney.
Yeah. So how many times have you worked projects with Paul then?
Oh, 6 or 7 or 8, including a live show at the Cavern.
Oh, wonderful.
With his band, with David Gilmour guesting.
Yeah.
And in Pace on drums.
That's right,
and it was quite.
Was there a guy? I think I might be wrong on this. Did Mick Green play guitar in that?
Yes, he
and
did.
Was the keyboard player the guy that did 18 with a Bullet? What was his name? Do you remember that song?
I do. I'm not going to remember.
Pete Wingfield. Was he playing keyboards?
Yeah,
I vaguely remember that. Yeah. And he did a lot of old rock and roll stuff.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
I mean, it can literally turn his hand to anything.
Yeah.
You know, it's just absurd, really.
Yeah.
And I mean, to have that sort of relationship with such a legendary figure and the respect for somebody, I would imagine after a while when he saw it, he'd go, "Oh, hello, Paul." You know, as if he was like an old friend.
He would.
Well, not such a friend, but somebody he respected. You know.
Yeah. A familiar face when he came back to the BBC, which of course, him being from the generation of the BBC was an institution that he had a great deal of respect and admiration for as well.
Of course,
that's how they were brought up, you know.
That's all those BBC sessions they did.
And if you were the familiar face, when you come into the BBC, you had a great time last time, and there's the same people.
Yeah.
And
that must be wonderful.
Yeah.
And I know that you've done all this stuff, but there's, for a lot of the people that are probably watching this, they know you from the work you did on the Paul Jones Blues Show.
Yeah.
But you'd done before that, you'd been doing stuff with John Peel.
Yeah.
You know, and you'd done loads of sessions for John as well.
And for that was one of the proving grounds when you were a young engineer. Really, you'd be there on a Sunday with an experienced engineer and you, and if you were lucky and showed interest, the engineer would let you sit and he would stand behind you, and this is how you learn. And of course, the producer on those sessions from mid '80s to mid '90s was the legendary Buffin, Dale Griffin.
Of course, Dale Griffin, who I know because he produced a song of mine, not my song, but I was in the band that he produced the record of, along with Overend Watts from Mott the Hoople, although I don't think Overend had quite so much to do with it as Buffin did, as Dale Griffin did.
Yeah.
Lovely man.
Yes, but he would get quite tetchy in the studio with the band. If he found the band wasn't as good as he was hoping they were going to be, he would get maybe go, can't we really? And he'd look at the clock. We really should be further on than this by now. You know,
yeah.
Come on, go. And sort of try and whip them into shape. And then once he'd left, you get these bands from the American college circuit. They come in, they fly in, they're doing a session. Where's Dale? He doesn't work here anymore. Dale, but he's a legend on the American college circuit with the bands, because the legend of this grumpy guy had gone across it.
Okay.
In fact, he was a lovely man.
He was. I was very touched that he actually, after that, a fallow period in my career, and there's been many, but I remember when I was back end of '82. It was after the record had failed, and he. I don't know if I rang him or he rang me, but I rang him just trying to pump for work basically.
Yeah.
He couldn't help me, but he remembered me and he was really supportive, and I never forgot that, because I thought for somebody in his position, for just a bloke who was a singer, you know, and also ran. That's how I viewed myself at the time. I was really touched that he was both complimentary and supportive, but he said there's not really anything I can do. And there's a funny story here, because I know he produced a couple of sessions for the Pogues, which you probably have done as well.
Yeah.
Now, in the Pogues was an accordion player called James Fernley, you might have heard of. I think he helped write the big hit Fairytale in New York.
Yeah.
He wrote a book about his early days and his relationship with I've forgotten his name. That's wrong with me. The main man who's sadly no longer with us, Shane McGowan. Yeah. He'd written this because he's a great writer, James. He lives in LA now, and I was very complimented by the fact that he mentioned me in this book. You know, from his early days. When I first joined that band that I moved to London for, we were looking for a guitar player, and he walked in a D-Mob suit with a quiff, a Vox AC30 and a Telecaster. Before he even plugged in, he got the gig. He looked in, he's a great guitar player. But he didn't sign the deal with us because he said it was just at the same time as he was going on with the Pogues.
Right.
I think he made the right decision, quite frankly. You know, but that's just another story. But I wondered if you'd met him and
I think I did the Pogues without Shane.
Right.
When he'd left, I think it must have been at Cambridge Folk Festival,
Right,
something like
okay.
that. And they were Pogue Mahone, or whatever.
Yeah. The Popes, I think they call them.
Popes, that's right, the
That's
Popes.
right,
Yeah.
And they continued on. Well, they had some great music, you know. I mean, I know he was the main writer and everything, but they were a great band, you know. And they, for what they did it very, very well. So you've worked at the BBC. You've got this reputation for working with John Peel. You've got all these things, and then years later, you come after doing all these amazing outdoor broadcasts, all these wonderful concerts, these legendary figures you've worked with, and the list and the names piling high. Like somebody legendary every week. You get the opportunity to work with, but then you kind of got a relationship going with Paul Jones, which was quite was interesting because it was a combination of the history of the blues and your view of what was up and coming.
It was really.
You merged the two together.
Yeah, Paul. The program had moved from London to Birmingham and been there for quite a few years with a producer called Richard Masters, who was retiring.
Yeah,
and I was pottering about the Radio 2 office, which I didn't like to be in. I'd rather be Maid of Vale. Yeah. And so that show should come back to London. They all let me have a go at it. I'd do a good job on that show.
Yeah.
And Leslie Douglas, the controller that heard me, she said, well, go on then. I said, what, really? He said, yeah, go on. And so I contacted Paul and we met up. And I said, look, I don't want to be curator of a museum. They don't want a blues that's sort of preserved in aspic here. Obviously, he's one of the experts on blues and the history of the blues, and I'd like to think that I had the touch of what was going on in the current scene, but she was too busy playing to
and still is,
and still is. God, good grief, yes, it is. To go and I met him a few weeks ago, and he said, "Oh, what's new and exciting now, Bob?"
Yeah, there you go.
So I would tackle the current side of it, and Paul would look at it, and together. We changed the program that way to try and reflect more what was going on in the live current blues scene. Yeah, and I think it worked. And
well, I was lucky enough on a couple of occasions to have been embraced by that very concept, and I was very touched by that. You know, to consider that, to have been considered in that field at all. You know, got to know Paul, and of course I've worked with you a couple of times, as you know, and meeting you in this environment, it's a different ballgame, because what I noticed when you're working is you're so focused.
Oh yeah,
you are so focused, and I remember the sessions, and you know exactly how that area that you're in is working. Yeah, you know, and it's all about capturing that performance at that time.
Capturing is the right word, because you've got to try and capture a live performance, which you can polish. It's not straight. And when people start playing, the takes get better and better and better. And you've got to know when it's not going to get any better, it's going to start to go down again.
Yeah.
And so it's half knowing the equipment, and the other half of production is psychology. Yeah. It's understand. Having played in bands and been a musician all my life, I knew that side. And because right now the atmosphere in the studio is starting to turn. They're starting to get a bit, you know. Yeah. I think we've got it. Yeah. To know when you've got it.
That's it. Unlike the famous story of Cilla Black and Burt Bacharach.
Oh yeah, that's
when George Martin says, "I think we got it on the fifth."
I think if you listen to Take 3,
exactly.
Whatever.
She's done 40 by then.
Yeah.
But Bacharach's renowned for that, because he was he's looking for that,
which is full live. The singer is singing live with the orchestra. That's how it's recorded. Yeah.
I know. Yeah. You know, of course, obviously it's different now, but I mean, you know, and you could sense. You know, I've seen a documentary of that when she's thinking, "Oh, I can't do it again."
Yeah, it's
she's obviously
going
to do it.
What's it all about?
You know, thinking, "Oh, crikey," you know, it's like I've done. I can't give any more than that. And like you say, and I've been there in studios. You know, and luckily enough, more often than not, the first one or two takes for singers, particularly, but I'm sure it probably applies to other musicians too. And normally, if they're any good, they're normally going to be the best ones. Yeah. There was an instance once where I did a session for Martin Barr from Jethro Tull. I went down to, funny enough, he lives in Honiton, and I went down there in the summer of '95. It was a beautiful day, and I went down on a train. He picked me up at the station, took me to his beautiful house, classic rock style house, you know, land and the stables converted into extra apartments for when the musicians stayed there. Studio next door to their house, beautiful place. And he said, "Oh, this is the song. It goes a bit like this." And he played it through, and he said, "I'm not a singer." And I said, "That's all right. I think I've got a gist of it." He said, "Oh, the engineer's here." So I went in. He played the track in my headphones. I said, "Let me run it just to see how we get on." And I did a take. I said, "Okay, I'm ready to take one now." He said, "No need to worry. So I've got that. I ain't going to do that any better." And I'd only been there a quarter of an hour.
Yeah.
You know, so I just spent the rest of the day there. You know, it was wonderful.
Yeah.
But I could have gone in there and still been doing it 2 days later.
You can do, but I think especially with singers, there's a limit to the amount of repetition you can do. It's harder than playing it again.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, for sure. Because there's certain tones and levels. I mean, you need to warm up, and then there's a
emotion
pivotal
and all that
moment.
as well.
Yeah. And the emotion. You know, we all sing songs live and we do them over and over again.
Yeah.
And particularly when you're a success, you've got to play your hits and everything.
Yeah.
But that's supplemented by the fact that people are going nuts for it, and that lifts it up so you don't mind. You know? If you've got to play it in a pub and there's nobody listening, you go, "I've done this like 15 times now. I'm fed up with it." It's not the same, you know. But in a studio, it's a different ball game. You know, it's getting that moment, it's getting a sound that makes you feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And capturing that, and you do that so well with all the people you've worked with. But was there ever a time on any of these sessions where you were thinking to yourself, "We're never going to get this"? Did that ever happen to you?
Yeah, it did happen once. Yeah.
Oh. Are you allowed to say who it was?
Well, he's no longer with us.
Oh, right. Okay.
But it was a scratch band.
Okay.
Of some fine people, including Bernie Marsden.
Oh, I know Bernie. Yeah.
And I thought we are never going to get this done. And in the end, I think we got the band. I said, "Look, the band is fine. Let's just have another couple of goes at vocal." And a Paul Jones session gets done in 4 to 6 hours.
Yeah.
4 songs done, mixed.
Yeah, that's right.
In a pub. And we came back the next day, and that was I think it's the only time we ever did.
Oh, right.
And had to mix it then, and it was not an easy session. Sam Kelly was on drums.
Yeah, I know Sam.
Yeah.
I've worked with all of them.
Yeah,
I've done them all. Even on
it's a
this
somewhat fraught session, which I got talked into by.
But I guess some of these people come over, don't they? They need a pickup band. They've got a bit of a name. They get a session.
Yeah.
I ain't got a band, and let's get this together,
Yeah.
So there's
well, not only did you not have a band, you had no arrangements, no charts, no nothing. It's all how does this one go? Like an 8-piece band, So it was an interesting day, but not one I'd want to go back.
I can imagine. I can imagine. And you did that for what's the best part of 10 years, wasn't it?
Paul? Best part of 8 years, something like that. Yeah,
it's a wonderful show, Paul. Wonderful show. And Paul, he stopped because he just felt that he'd done all he could with it, or was he just?
Well, I always thought it would be the last thing he would give up, if you like.
Yeah.
But in the end, he thought, well, no, it's a weekly commitment. Every 50 weeks of the year commitment, and it takes me a day to research the records and I meet with Paul and I come into London, do the recording, and it's like the politician says you want to devote more time with their family, but in his case it was devote more time to playing live,
because he's a musician first.
He's a musician, but he still does 100 more shows a year.
Yeah, I know, it's remarkable, really.
But he says now that was a weekly commitment, but now I can do as much or as little when I want to.
Yeah, and of course, he's some tender years old. He looks amazing. I have to say, he keeps himself in shape and and everything else. But you'd have to be fair on yourself a little bit with these things, So when that finished, did you continue with the Blue Shop with the new people that took over, or did
for a little while? I carried on. I didn't produce the show anymore because I can never recreate that relationship.
No.
But I produced the sessions for the show for a little while longer.
And so all the time that's going on, of course, in later time, your first love is a musician. You've got all this talent as a musician, classical, oboe.
Yeah, mercifully for everybody. I haven't played the oboe for a very long time.
I don't know many oboe solos in the middle of Thrill Is Gone or Rock Me Baby, but it might be something new to think of. You never know.
Yeah.
There's always room. But you end up putting a band together called CATFISH, who, if anybody's on the blues scene and then knows that we're a pivotal, successful band, and got an enormous reputation on the live scene all across Europe. And that must have been really satisfying to do that at the time, because it was a sort of on a whim at first, wasn't it? Really,
it was. Matt was at ACM, the music college in Guildford, 16. I don't want to go to music college, and in the summer holidays, the 2 or 3 bands he was in were kind of all fell apart and went their separate ways. And he just said to me, "Do you fancy playing?" Because I played in a band called the Riotous Brothers at the time, and I moved up to the keys more than the guitar. And he said, "Do you fancy just doing some playing?" There's a couple of guys in the jams he'd been going to in Worthing, a drummer and a bass player. We'll get together, we'll just jam some blues. And so we did. We did our first gig on the 8th of August 2014 in a little pub in Billingshurst, about 3 miles from here. And 2 of the songs, and one of the song in my new band, I still play to this day.
Wonderful.
But until we started it, just for kicks, really. But Matt was obviously such a talent on the guitar that the band started to catch fire and really take off with people. And we started introducing our own material, and that took over and became more of an original band. And became rockier as well, with sort of Matt's influence from that. And before we knew it, we were touring the UK and Europe, and we then lost the bass player and then the drummer because it wasn't what they'd signed up for. But it really took off. Or it was an overnight success that took 10 years.
You
can take your pick with that.
Yeah, so. I know that. I know that story only too well. I don't know what you mean. I mean, but that must have been an extremely satisfying in many ways, because you obviously got your son with you there, and you're actually playing music live, and the irony being you're on the circuit that you were sniffing around to find acts for to go on your radio show, and there you are building, coming through that very same scene and becoming near the top of it.
I'd been on it at a lower level, obviously, with the previous band, and made no mistake, CATFISH wouldn't have done anything without Matt.
No,
it was based on his huge talent as a writer and a singer as well, of course. It was based around Matt, really. The rest of us could have come and gone. Actually, that's not true, because he couldn't drive. So I always said to him, as long as you don't have a license, I've always got a gig.
Great, I love it. That's great.
Yeah,
great. And I think most people know the story. I won't go into it because it's too distressing. But needless to say, you've since moved on to. You mentioned you've got a new band, but also what a lot of people should know is you're also becoming, in your own right, a broadcaster. And how long have you been doing that internet radio show, and how did that start?
Well, I've actually been doing it since 2014. Yeah, it was when I was interested in it before, but I was producing Paul's show, and I thought there's a conflict of interest on here, so I didn't do anything about it. But during that time, I started doing Paul's radio show as a podcast as well, which in 2008 that was pretty new.
That's quite new, yeah.
And I got in touch with, he got in touch with me, I can't quite remember which now, a guy called Dave Raven.
Yes, I know the name, yeah.
Who was a really sort of internet radio pioneer, really.
Yeah.
And he used to work for BFBS, so there was a BBC link a little there as well.
Yeah.
And we got chatting, and I got to be a good friend of his and remain good friends with him till he passed away, really. But and he got me the bug. He said, "No, you're free now to do your own show."
Yeah, absolutely.
Let some of that experience, that knowledge, that enthusiasm come out. And so I still sit here in this very room every week talking to myself.
Yeah, well, Well, I mean, to be fair, you're kind of talking to yourself here, really, because I mean, I'm just here for the, not the pretty face, but I'm just the host.
Yeah.
But but I mean, that's been great. And what's great about that, I did a little touch of that a few years ago. I did some a little blues show. When I get 5 minutes, I'll send you the shows.
Right.
But they were in 2017. I did a few. There was a little internet radio station, and we used to go out on a Sunday morning, but I'd pre-record it, you see.
Yeah, my show's recorded.
Yeah, I'd pre-record it, and the guy would set up the music from whatever Spotify playlist I put together, and we'd put 2 or 3 tracks together. I used to run a little quiz thing, and a link would say, "This play 3 tracks, what's the link?" Little things like that, And I tried my hand at it, but I haven't done it since. I was going to send the tapes out to other people, but this has kind of taken a little bit of that side of my interest in this, because I love talking to people. I could talk to a lamppost and get a conversation going. So meeting musicians who, one, I admire, and 2, have got wonderful stories, it just seemed obvious to me that this was a great way of doing it. But in your case, with the broadcasting, was that as much because of your love of playing music and was that part of it as well?
Really, yeah, and a love of radio, really.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'd always had this secret thing that I think I could do that, I could do that.
Yeah.
And I love it. And nobody tells me what to play. All I have to do is deliver a show that's exactly 60 minutes and no seconds long.
Gotcha.
Once a week.
Yeah.
Which, with my background,
I was going to say that's a breeze, isn't it? Really.
Yeah. Some weeks more of a breeze than others, but yeah.
Here, Paul, you've never played me on your show.
Oh.
What's going on there then?
That all started with Paul Jones. You'd be bumping to people. Why do you play?
I know, it's all I tease you, Paul.
Paul, when people ask Paul Jones,
yeah,
why don't you play my band? And he would say, I can play 12 records a week.
Oh no.
And they have to fight their way in.
Yeah. Oh, listen. I know the restrictions of radio. What was it? You used to call it back in the 60s? Something time. What was it called? For the radio, only
needle
time. That's right.
Yeah.
It was only an X amount of.
Well, that's why there were the sessions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I know, because they couldn't play that many records.
Yeah.
It was all restricted and stuff.
Yeah.
And of course, when you've got the constraints of time, you do have to. Because I had to do the same thing. We had to edit it down.
Yeah. The extra news has to be at 8.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I know it's. Yeah, so I was grateful, and I tease you when I say that, because as you know, it's your show. You pick who you want to play. It's nothing to do with me, and But needless to say, you're on my show now. I'm shaming
and you're in the modern YouTube environment,
absolutely,
on the radio.
Yeah, well, I'm going to try and turn these into podcasts. They're just conversations, but if I can work a way of getting the sound off them, just to make them into a podcast, I might be calling on you again.
That's perfectly true.
I might be calling on you again. Couldn't give us a hand with this, Paul? I'm trying, and get them up on Spotify or whatever.
Yeah, that's doable.
So it's just another angle. Because most of the conversation is just that. It's not like
most people who listen to my show are listening to it as a download from Mixcloud, where it goes like an iPlayer or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
And so they can walk around, take the dog for a walk, go to work, whatever.
Exactly.
So that's not to be chained to anything.
What I wanted to try and do when I eventually get round to doing that podcast is with the tracks that people have picked, is to try and put them in. Into places during the show.
Yeah.
Not that I would necessarily bring them up, but just have them playing a little bit. I don't know if you could play the whole song. I'm not sure what the technical side of that is because of copyright.
Yeah.
But it just to add a little bit of flavour to the conversation. Now. You've got a new band now, Paul. What's that called?
Band's called Burning Rope.
Burning Rope. And are you building it on the same premise in terms of the type of gigs you were doing as you did with CATFISH? Is that having that background helped in this?
It has helped.
Yeah.
It helps you get a first gig.
Yeah.
Then you have to go and be good.
Yeah.
And hopefully then you get a second one. So there have been lots of venues and promoters that have been very kind to us. Fiona's been doing the booking. That because we used to play there, they go, of course, there's a new band, there's Paul and Adam from CATFISH, and Mitch, who was the dep drummer for CATFISH as well, so it's still kind of family.
And what's the full lineup on that? 4-piece again, is it?
Yeah, 4-piece again. A young guy called Alex Voisey on guitar, who's got his own band as well.
All right.
And he got in touch with me, I think, a couple of years ago, and asked me to produce an album for him, which I did, and that's how we got going.
Gotcha.
And then he played on some of the benefit shows for Matt.
Brilliant.
Last year, and then it took me a long time to decide to carry on playing. Then I thought, you don't play music as you want to; you play music as you have to.
That's absolutely right. Yeah.
And it took a long time to make this, but then I thought, well, there's the CATFISH guys, and who would play guitar, and there's only one person I thought really, that would be Alex, and it's fitted in really well.
That's great.
Yeah,
that's great. And you've got gigs coming up with that, have you?
Yeah, it's busy. We've got about another 30 this year, and we're booked into October, November 26 at the moment.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
So when's the next show? You can let people know where it is.
The next show is, well, it depends whether there's Monday and in Camberley, probably before this.
Oh, right, yeah.
Then we have a little run in August of, let me think, the Bear Club in Luton, one of my favourites.
Oh, right, yeah.
Jojo Jim's in Birmingham, and then the Old Bush Blues Festival. It's a little run of 3 in the middle of August.
That's lovely.
We've just been putting the finishing touches to the album, just backing vocals to do, and then that's done.
Just touching on production, you said that you got Alex Owski to produce an album for him, and is that outside of the BBC productions and the live work? Have you produced a few albums for people in the time?
Yeah.
Anybody in particular that I would have you're aware of?
Well, I've done some a live album for Ian Siegel and for Ben Paul.
Okay.
Babba Jack.
Yeah.
If you like that, and quite a lot of mastering for people actually in recent times as well.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. Well, there's so many strings to this man's bow, ladies and gentlemen, that it's almost there isn't enough time really to talk to Paul. But with the constraints of YouTube and all that stuff, I've got to sort of wrap it all up. And I'm sure there's millions of things I wanted to ask him and then I've forgotten to. But you know, that's the nature of this whole YouTube channel stroke podcast. It's ramshackle amateur. And a man who doesn't know what the hell he's doing, talking to a man who's had 50 years of experience doing it. So I do feel a little intimidated, but in the nicest possible way. Now, with these shows, we always end up doing where we can, we do a song together at the end of the show. So if Paul wants to jump on the keyboard, I'll just do my, what I call housekeeping. To make this show work, ladies and gents, as you know, we've got to build up an audience. I mean, I'm not trying to make tons of money out of this or anything like that. It's purely and simply just to sort of share my love of conversations with wonderful people like Paul and to share them with you. But to get that to work properly, we do need you to subscribe, add some comments underneath and share it on your social media sites wherever they might be, and just watch every week and hopefully you'll look forward to seeing them. And we've got plenty of good people lined up, so I just want to say one more time, thanks Paul, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
Good to see you.
Really was. And we're going to finish with a song, and until the next time on Unsung Heroes, from Paul and Paul, we'll see you next time. Thank you. Right, let's do it.
Yeah.
Thrill is gone. Thrill is gone away. Thrill is gone now, baby. The thrill is gone away. Although you hurt me, child, I know you'll be sorry someday. The thrill is gone. It's gone away for good. Thrill is gone now, baby. It's gone away for good. Although you've done me wrong, I'll get over it all just like a good man should. I'm free now, baby. Don't you know that I'm free from your spell? Free, free, free now, baby. Lord knows I'm free from your spell. Although you hurt me, child, all I can do is wish you well. God bless everybody. See you next time. Thank you so much.